Welcome everybody to Phys Ed Summit 4.0. My name is Jonathan Jones. I am from Cheverly, Maryland, which is right outside of DC, and I will be moderating the session today. I'm so glad that everyone could join us. Again, we're using Tozzle today, so if anything happens to our presentation today, I will post a new link in our Tozzle to make sure that everyone has our new link to our session, because with technology, anything can happen. We also have a great feature in Tozzle, which is our back channel, that if you would like to participate in a discussion with our session today, please participate in the back channel so you can have conversations with other participants, and myself and Kellyanne Parry will go ahead and ask questions so that you can participate in the back channel. So again, I am here with Ms. Kellyanne Parry. She is currently completing her PhD in education research, focused on game-centered approaches in teacher professional learning. Specifically, her research looks at bridging the gap between theory and practice, and looks at how to support teachers to implement game-centered practice within their own context. Kelly is an experienced teacher, teaching in both the UK and Australia, where she has embedded game-centered approaches in her teaching practice. She is currently lecturing in a casual capacity at university, and Kelly has been a member of the TGfU SIG executive since 2013, where she takes on a role of communications director. This presentation will be delivered as part of the TGfU SIG Executive Professional Development Initiative. So introducing to you your presenter today, Kellyanne Parry.
Thanks, Jonathan, for that. Sounded very important there, but I'm not sure if that's all true. But yeah, so I guess my background is coming from Wales and the UK, teaching, then heading over to Australia and heading up the department over here as a head teacher, and really feeling that frustration of trying to shift the pedagogy in my faculty to encompass TGfU practice, so which has now led me to becoming an academic and pursuing my PhD, which seems to be going on forever, but I will get there. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, but just a few housekeeping things beforehand. On Tozzle, I've shared a handout and the video links that I'll be using. So it would be really great if you could maybe open up the Google Docs handout, and we could use that to complete some activities throughout the presentation. I'll show it to you as soon as I start sharing my screen. And yet I'll be communicating with you via that, and Jonathan will be watching Tozzle as well. Great to see so many of you already introducing yourself there. It would be good to be able to pick out some names. Hi Joe, hi Stephen, there's my first two. So all right, let's get going, and I'll start sharing my screen and get my presentation underway. All right, here we go. I hope you don't mind, but I'm keeping Jonathan and myself on the screen here because I just feel like I'm not talking to myself. We'll kick it off from the beginning. Let me just quickly show you the handout that I was talking about. So hi Chris, thanks for writing on the handout. Here we have the handout which has all of my activities, including a little roll call at the beginning, but also feel free to use Tozzle. So all right, I'm a bit nervous, so I'm sure once I get started I'll be okay. So yeah, my presentation today is an overview of TGfU, looking at putting the Y before the how, and my presentation is the first part of a 4-part series, including David, who's up next, and then Heidi and Stephen Harvey. We're all members of the TGfU SIG executive, so it's great for the phys-edagogy team to let us jump on board here and try and impart our knowledge and wisdom. I'm not sure where I'm going to find mine from, but I'll give it a go. So my session looks at providing an overview of how the TGfU model can be applied to practice, hopefully, with a focus on the 4 guiding pedagogical principles, which are sampling, exaggeration, representation, and questioning. The 3 following presentations will expand on these within specific sports. Okay, so putting the why before the how, I've just quoted some information here out of Bunker and Thorpe's curriculum model, which really resonated with me. I think that this kind of encompasses why I really lent on the TGfU model. So as a large amount of time is given over to the teaching of games within the program of PE, it is surprising that little or no attention has been given to the ways in which they can be taught in schools. It is of particular concern as games, unlike other activities in the PE curriculum, present problems of what to do and when to do it, and not just how it's done. So I guess my experience of PE as a kid was very much about how it's done, focused on the technique, focused on the skill, standing in lines, playing captain ball. And then when I went to uni, I had this massive shift. You know, it was during the time that Bunker and Thorpe were really pushing the TGfU model and really sort of looking at that cognitive domain. And I guess that's what Bunker and Thorpe really wanted us to consider. So I'll let you just read through that second quote there, which is taken straight from their curriculum model. So Bunker and Thorpe introduced TGfU in 1982 as an alternative to that technique skill-driven practice that I'm sure you've all experienced like me. So what we'll do is we'll explore their alternative, their TGfU model, and how it looks in comparison to that traditional skill-based approach. So they really wanted to focus on putting the why, so what we need to do and why we need to do it before how we actually do it. So the focus is on the tactical consideration and making right decisions based on developing that tactical awareness. And hopefully as an end result, we'll have children that begin to see the need for and relevance of particular techniques as they're required in the game situation. Here's a brief overview. I know that we're going to have a little bit of a delay, but this is a great overview of the TGfU model when presented in New Zealand. So I'm going to click play and we'll just watch it for a few minutes, but you also have access to the YouTube link on the back channel on Tozzle. Oh, sorry. Good start, Cal. Technology. I got trigger happy.
That happens. Kellyanne.
Yep.
If there's sound on your video, you might want to unplug your headphones.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better.
I'm just going to go without them.
Okay.
Golski, 1-0, team man, change of rule. Okay, the ball's not to go along the ground, it's to go in the ear. If you drop it, it's a handover. Okay, but you have to underarm it through the goal to score. Okay, freeze there, guys, stay where you are. There's a goal here, there's a goal there. Look where everyone is, where are you? All bunch, what do you think you might be able to do? Okay, all right, where you go? Everyone! Hamish! Buddy! Okay, well done. Ready, play!
You've got to keep the players in game situations as much as they can, you know. Have pitch geography, make it relevant to a football game. If it doesn't look and feel like football, don't do it. That'll be one of my philosophies. And certainly tonight, you know, focusing on a defensive shape and letting the players come up with their own strategy and guiding each other to an outcome is certainly a tool that most novice coaches could use. There's lots of ways of putting conditions on a session, whether it be targets, whether it be, you know, modifying the size of your area, whether it be putting specific goals in about, you know, what you're trying to achieve. Coaches can manipulate a lot of things: the task, the environment, and the physical load on the players.
What came through to me was John really understands.
Okay, so I might just wait in case there's a little bit of backlog there. But basically, hopefully what the video has illustrated is how TGfU looks in practice. So what is TGfU and why did it come about? There was a recognition about the benefits of movement education, not simply drilling them or through technique practice. There's a need to develop an understanding of games, not just an understanding of the skills. Inflexible techniques when applied to games. So we were noticing, or they were noticing, that students were not able to transfer those skills from game to game, and there was little success in games sessions that were just not fun. So the students weren't having fun. We've often seen games as a reward just at the end of PE lessons. So if you could take anything out of that video, I'd just like you to try and remember what that looked like in practice. So those conditioned games in the beginning, where they were actually playing cricket through a soccer related passing game. So what are the benefits? So Mitchell, Oslin and Griffin highlighted the main benefits of TGfU as higher motivation for the students, empowerment for the students to become autonomous learners, interaction between tactical and strategical knowledge and skills, so pupils know why they're doing something as well as how to do it. Also, there's an alignment of practice to the real game, so students know what the real version of the game looks like, and we're trying to promote that transfer of skills and tactics between similar sports. So I guess this this table is my first activity, and what I really found helped me when I was a head teacher was to try and show my staff the changes between that technical model and what this TGfU model looked like. So I really got them to try and look at what was the purpose of teaching using a TGfU model. I wanted to try and give them some ownership over their learning. So if you guys out there could access the Google Docs and maybe pop down some information there. So what do you think is the purpose of a technical model compared to the TGfU model that I'm showing? What do you think the objective of the technical model compared to the TGfU model, bearing in mind that we're comparing a behaviourist approach to a very much student-centered constructivist approach. So let's give this a go. Hopefully it'll work. Please somebody start typing. That isn't just me. And let's give this first activity a go, comparing a technical model to a TGfU model.
So would you like them to answer this?
Yeah, you could answer it on that Google Doc, or if you want to share the information with Jonathan on Tozzle, and he can start popping down some ideas. So for example, the teacher role in a technical model is very much teacher directed. You know, they are the one that are imparting the information, whereas in a TGfU approach, it's very much a student-centered role. So come on, guys, let me see you doing some writing in there. Great, thank you. If any of you want to start from the bottom up, so maybe looking at how we evaluate learning and what the learner's role is, that will be great. And then we can have a few more minutes before we check in and see what we think.
And I think something key that you said early on was that, you know, there's a transfer of skills between different sport and activities.
Yeah,
and I think that's some
benefit.
Yeah. And I think that some teachers really, myself included, you know, I struggled with this for a long time, is that we teach skills in isolation and not really making the connection between, you know, like the Invading Games model in, you know, soccer or football, you know, also connects to the Invading Games model in like basketball.
And that's it. And if you look at professional sport now, Jonathan, where you've got these, you know, especially if we look at the football codes, where you've got these football players that are switching from rugby league to rugby union, and we've even had, you know, Jared Hayne going over there to the States and playing American football. That there's such transferable skills, and you know, it's not just the physical, the psychomotor skills. It's the cognitive skills as well, which I know, especially when I've employed the TGfU approach with my elective kids, you know, that they really thrived and shown me that transfer, not only within the same game category, but also across a range of different game categories. So yeah, guys, you're doing a great job. Thanks for filling some of that in. So if you see, we're already getting the idea that the technical model is very skill specific, saying focused on execution, not necessarily in a game situation, compared to the TGfU model, which is looking at the skills in context, so contextualizing the learning, interest in learning games and understanding gameplay. The objective, you're saying, is very skill-driven with a behaviorist approach compared to a transfer of understanding one game to another in a TGfU. You don't even need me, guys. You know all this information already. Look at this. Instruction is very teacher-centered compared to a student-centered. The teacher role in a technical approach is more of a director, and compared to a TGfU model, which is more of a facilitator. Great. If you don't mind, guys, I'm going to jump to my next slide and just show you that what you're already saying is what I've got down here. So if we compare that technical model to this TGfU model that Bunker and Thorpe have really tried to drive home for us. The real difference is that student-centered, situated nature or contextualized nature of our teaching. So constructing meaning rather than just acquiring knowledge. The students are discovering what to do rather than, you know, just saying what they already know. They're thinking and making decisions. That decision-making process is a really key component to the TGfU model compared to just measuring performance. There's a classification of games framework compared to just seasonal activities. And I know that when I was teaching, you know, it's hard to not teach those seasonal activities. You need, you know, you need the pitches, you need the posts up, you need the weather. So you are governed a lot by that sort of thing. Student-centered compared to teacher-centered, concept-based compared to technique-based. So hopefully that's given you an idea of what's taught and how it's taught with the TGfU model compared to that technical model.
Yeah, and when I look at,
Yep.
oh, I'm sorry. When I look at the slide you just showed, I know that in the States, there's been a shift towards a more student-centered learning model in physical education and in the classroom. And so, like, when I look at all those things that, you know, the technical model versus the TGfU model, everything on the TGfU model is student-centered. It's making them a part of the learning process, and actually it's the students leading the learning process instead of the teacher.
Which can be quite scary, right? You know, you as a teacher don't have as much control. You are not the font of all knowledge and wisdom. So you can kind of get why it's taken a while for people to be able to embed this kind of model in their practice. And I certainly know from my experience that you know, it's scary to take that shift, and sometimes you feel very much out of control when you're using this student-centered approach. But I guess as well for me, it's really looking at that shift from just teaching skills to teaching more about the decisions, about the knowledge, about the tactical awareness. For me, that's what resonated the most, is teaching beyond just the skills. You know, I wasn't experiencing success when I focused just on skills in my lesson. I wasn't, you know, I wasn't seeing that learning happening until I was able to shift to that more cognitive domain and you know, making that sort of learning a lot bigger. So, okay. So this was the original TGfU model proposed by Bunker and Thorpe. So it was a 6-step model, and the key aspects of the model lies in being able to structure or modify games to suit the ability level of the student and to represent the tactical demands of the sport. So if we quickly go through the game. So the very first step of the model is with the game being introduced, okay, as opposed to how we might have used to teach, where we had a warm-up and a skill drill. So a modified game is being used to start the lesson, just like we saw in that cricket soccer example. The second step of the model is looking at developing that game appreciation. So students are gaining an understanding of the rules, whether they're conditioned rules or modified rules, but they're understanding that they're getting that game appreciation. The third step is trying to build that tactical awareness. So we're getting the students to consider the tactics and the strategies in the game to help them work through the principles of play and hopefully increase their tactical awareness. The fourth step of the model is then trying to really get them to think about their decision making, making sure that we're designing learning activities that facilitate that decision making process. So really getting students to look at what to do before they look at how to do it. We're not forgetting about how to do it. We're not forgetting about that skill practice, and we're not forgetting about teacher directed practice, but only if the opportunity arises or if the need arises with the students. Hopefully what we're doing is getting them to make the appropriate game decisions. And then the last 2 steps is that skill execution. So looking at those skills that they need to be successful at that sport. And the difference between skill execution and performance is the skill execution is focused on that specific skill that we require them to do. Whereas performance, we're looking at the performance based on the specific criteria according to the game or the goals of the game. So they're being able to apply that skill into the actual practice. So that's the 6-step model, and we've had lots of different versions of the TGF model, whether it's game sense, whether it's play practice, but they're all kind of combined on that student-centered, situated, behaviorist notion of learning. So one of the first steps which I thought was most helpful to me was looking at that classification of games. So Bunker and Thorpe proposed that we teach games in categories rather than just isolated games. They proposed 4 categories: territorial, or what we know as invasion games, net wall, strike and field, and target games. Now these games are grouped together based on some similar components, so such as the intent or purpose of the game, or the concepts and skills, the players' roles within the games, the playing area, and the offensive and defensive strategies. So games with the same category have games within the same category have common tactical elements and employ strictly similar strategies to achieve similar goals. So for me as a teacher, that was my first step, trying to organize my scope and sequence to reflect these game categories. And once I'd got my head around, okay, so we need to teach target games because they're all very similar. And then I kind of felt that I didn't need to be teaching bowls and golf. I was able to jump around between different sports because they all shared the same components. So you were so good out there at my first activity. Let's give the second one a go. I'm not sure how this one will go because it involves moving around, but you guys have some pictures there. Oh, that's the answers. You guys have some pictures on that worksheet, or if you want to just write down on Tozzle or whatever, some ideas of target games, what you think of when I say strike fielding games, some ideas of net wall games and invasion games, and we can have a go at completing this task.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that some of you are having issues with your audio and the document. So if you also want to write them down in Tozzle, I can add them to the sheet for you.
Yeah, great. If you just write target and then you can see some of my games there. Oh guys, you're moving it. Awesome job. Yeah, so, and even if you just put some ideas down of some activities that you use, you might use some more generic games like kickball. Which category does that fall under? I know that here in Australia we have some Indigenous games, which has been great for me to learn and get the students to show me which category they think that they lie in, and some of them fall across different categories. Oh, great. Don't know what that cricket's doing in the target section, but I'll give you a few more minutes to move it around. And
there's also some really great conversation going on the back channel. We've had questions like how will this look at different levels? So how does the TGfU model look at at a younger model and an older model, and also how do you assess during the process?
Yeah, look, I think I was working with a PE department beforehand, and assessment was something that was often ignored a lot in practical lessons in PE. We have health and PE here in our subject. And we introduced the GPAI, which is an assessment of gameplay. So I'll pop some of these up later on, but really trying to assess game performance rather than just skill. So trying to assess the students' choice and selection of sports. choice and selection of skills rather than just you know, whether or not they can complete a skill and to what level that they can do it. But yeah, good question on how you assess it at each level. I guess I've seen it as a holistic thing and rather assessed the whole performance. But yeah, that's a good question, how you would assess it at each level. I know the Games Performance Assessment Index allows you to assess decision making and allows you to assess skill execution. So I guess for me, it's been an end result of the whole unit of work. And I really started to shift my my teaching from teacher-based assessment to self-assessment and peer assessment. I felt that really helped to build knowledge more of what we were actually doing, and it takes the onus off you from, you know, observing every student and knowing everything. And now with technology, the kids are able to back that up with evidence. So
That's for sure.
I think Stephen Harvey has just put up the GPAI in that for me now. Thanks, Harvey. There's the link that he's done with the Mehmet one there should be a good one on use of assessment. I think that's the soccer one, Steve. So thanks for that. All right, let's just jump and see, guys. Thank you. I was a bit worried about the Google Doc. It's not working awesome, but I think you guys have got the gist of it. But oh dear. That's my presentation over. Thank you very much for coming. All right, so target games, we have croquet, pool or snooker, archery, strike fielding games. We have baseball, rounders. Do you even know what rounders is out there in the States?
I do not personally. I do not.
No, it's. I know that they don't know in Australia here with me either. So, well, my faculty didn't. Cricket. And then netball, we've got volleyball, squash, and tennis. And then invasion game, we've got netball, hockey, and water polo. So yeah, great. You guys, you know, you're knowing your categories of sports.
Oh, sorry, sorry. And we also have a couple more from our back channel. From Ryan Armstrong. We have, sorry, I'm trying to find Ryan's.
Jean, I love rounders.
So from Ryan, we have net and wall games, badminton, tennis, volleyball, nitro ball, pickleball, and a couple others. And also spike ball was mentioned, which is...
What is spike ball? There was a bit of debate about spike ball and whether it's a strike fielding game. I've never heard of spike ball.
Yeah, and a couple of people said that it could actually be both a striking and fielding game because there are elements of both in spike ball.
Oh, I'll have to look it up. So I guess we just need to look at the tactical concepts within it and the aim of the game and see whether it does fall in both categories. I've had this debate with my students over dodgeball, whether dodgeball is a target game or whether it's an invasion game. And it's quite interesting. And I guess that opens up the whole student-centered nature of it, the fact that they start arguing with me and discussing what they think it actually is. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Oh, Harvey, you're doing a great job out there. Thank you. And also, Joe Shepherd has just put up about the cognitive journal reflection with evidence, which is a great way of doing assessment too. So, Joe, if you've got any information out there for that, that would be really great. Thanks for adding that. So, yeah. This is what Bunkerthorpe and Almond used as their game categories, and as you know, we can all go on further and adding this, and there's been further classifications where it's broken down into the shape of the field, whether it's crossing the line invasion, whether it's field invasion or court invasion. For me, this really became how I started to transform my practice. My first step as a head teacher was to develop a scope and sequence which reflected the games classifications. And from there, before I even gave my staff any information, just to try and get them to teach in like sports and to get their head around that was really my first step. One important thing to note here, and I'm sure you guys know it, you pretty gung-ho out there, is that as you move from target up to invasion games, you're building in the developmental sequence, you're building in the tactical and cognitive demands of the sport. And also, if you look at invasion games, they have elements, like you were just discussing with Spikeball, they have elements of each of those other game categories within it. And also, as you move up with the tactical demands, you're also increasing the decision-making demands. So there's more decision-making involved in territorial games, invasion games, than target games, which always interests me, because when I started analysing my programme of work, I realised that my curriculum was dominated with invasion games, and I'd kind of not featured target games much at all, or net and wall. They were really missing from my program of work. So it was interesting when I started doing this to see how I was going to change my practice. So we're going to jump to my next activity. So what is the aim of target games? So what we're saying is that all these target games are grouped together in that one category because they share the same aim and the same tactical concepts. So I'm going to put a video on, and maybe you guys can start filling in the sheet and telling me in that table. Let me just show you. Where are we? Look at all this work you've done. Here, what do you think the aim of target games is? So let's go. So we're going to watch darts, and yep, you're just going to tell me what the aim of darts. So remember, this is you have an opposition, so it's you've got another person to contend with. Sorry, I thought I had jumped all of those. Let me just play it through here.
He's in again, 180 starting away. Right, Harrington, this is amazing.
It's brilliant darts, Fred. And, you know, now I don't play them all and have no incentive to play. I still love the game, but when they firing at each other like that, you know, it doesn't get any better. It really doesn't.
I'm going to ask you a little question in a minute, Freddie, because this lad's Dutch, and he's got another 180!
Cannot let me see a 9 dart in his own commentary.
Fred, it could be the first one. You commentate on the 9 dart about.
I am sat at the edge of my seat now, Rod. I'm ready to go. Come on, man, going. Oh, he's in for 719. Go on, man, going, daughter. Yeah! It's a man down for his champion. The first one I've seen in the commentary box. Go on, man, going. And they're counting up. John Quinn's on his feet. Rod Harrington's wetting himself. This is amazing! It is amazing! It really is incredible! Oh, yes!
For more interviews, more...
Sorry, I was getting carried away with the commentary there. Let me just jump back. Okay, so individualized decision-making focused on own personal strengths, I think that's going to say. So, but what I really want you to think about is what is the aim? We're having this debate whether spike ball fits into this category or that category. So the categorization really focuses on the aims of these sports. They should all share similar aims and similar concepts. So if we look at, oh dear, sorry, I've lost my slide. It was there. Oh, sorry. Here we go. The aim of target games all target games should share the similar aims to place a projectile near or in a target in order to have the best possible score. As we know with darts, we can have unimposed and imposed target games. So unimposed are ones like golf, 10-pin bowling, and archery, whereas posed games are lawn bowls and bocce. And they each share similar tactical concepts. The limited tactical options ensure that the players are not overloaded mentally. So when we were talking about the developmental sequence and the decision-making sequence, target games do not require that much thought process or decision-making, or the decision-making is actually done before the skill is executed.
Yeah. Now, so there was a conversation going on the back channel. Do you think that target games would be a good one to start off with teaching first in the TGfU model?
Yeah, look, I think it depends on what year you're teaching. I think when I started doing target games with my year 10s, they got bored quite quickly, but that was probably due to my inexperience of trying to teach it too. So what I started to do then was move in target games into a game design unit, and really looking at those principles of target games, and then getting the students to design activities that shared the same sort of principles. And then I also moved into athletics, where rather than teaching shot put and javelin, I started to get them to design games around those athletics concepts as well. I'm not condoning that you use javelin to throw at a dartboard or anything, but they started designing their own games using, the athletics equipment. So in terms of tactical complexity, it is the least tactical complex game category. I certainly used it a lot with my year 7s, but then we built it into our other programs as I got a bit more experienced. And also, I guess the equipment at the start, I didn't have any equipment, but then we moved it into an Indigenous or cultural games unit as well, and got them to look at what Indigenous or cultural games had the same tactical concepts of target games. But yeah, in terms of starting off, that's how I started. But and I guess especially I started the year with my year 7s with that too.
Okay.
All right, so just in terms of looking at the game concepts involved, this is in golf, but again, it's shared across other games categories. This is straight out of Mitchell, Oslin and Griffin's book, looking at those tactical problems. And that's a real focus in TGfU, is setting up a tactical problem to be solved and then designing your learning activities around that tactical problem and modifying games so that students are required to use these skills, use these shot selections in order to solve that tactical problem. So as you can see here, team in possession, place object as close to the intended target. Team without possession is to prevent the other side from doing it. Okay, so we're going to look at a strike fielding game and jump to that. So if we just quickly have a look at cricket, and we'll go through the aim. I'm just noticing the time. Sorry.
It's to fall. Matthew Wade was
this was to wind up all my Aussie friends.
Machado, who picked up the first 5 to fall. David Warner was the next man out. Good catch by R. Ashwin. And first slip. Okay, so the aim in strike and fielding games is because a contest develops between the fielding team and the batting team, with the aim being to score more runs than the other team using the number of innings and time allowed. So whether it's rounders, whether it's softball, they share the same aim. Examples include baseball, cricket, and softball. And some of the general principles. again. So when you have possession or when you're into bat, you try and maximize your time in bat and maximize your runs scored. Whereas when you're not in possession, you're trying to build pressure, minimize the other team's time in field, and minimize unnecessary scores. And again here, the tactical problems to be solved, defending the wicket or scoring the runs. So that's how we try and stay in. And then preventing scoring, we're looking at the tactical problems such as getting the batter out, restricting run scoring, and umpiring. So your lesson would really focus on trying to feature one of those tactical problems and getting the students to explore it. That's just a bigger version. Okay, so looking at tennis and the aim of net wall games, to send an object into the opponent's court so that it cannot be played or returned within the court boundaries. So it's not just getting it over the net, not just getting it over to the other side of the court, it's trying to put it into an irretrievable space on the opponent's side of the court. And again, games vary between whether or not they're allowed to have a bounce. And the concepts and tactical problems evident in net wall games include place object within boundaries where it can't be returned, or return object within the boundaries. The tactical problems when we're trying to score is setting up an attack, winning the point, or attacking as a pair. Preventing scoring is looking at defending your space, defending against an attack, and defending as a pair. I'm going to have to skip over my Welsh boys scoring the try to save time. That's a bit disappointing. But in Invading Games, so these are our most tactically complex sports. These are the ones that involve the most decision making, and they're the ones that involve learning, you know, the decision making in situ. We're acting on the job. So these are team games where the purpose is to invade the opponent's territory, where the aim being to score more points within the time limit than the opposing team. And there's a variety of sports, and again, we've discussed how they can be categorized further, carried across the line, such as rugby, American football, thrown or shot in a target, netball and basketball, struck with a stick or foot, such as hockey, soccer, and Australian rules. Yeah, there we go. So these are all of our games categories, and this is, like I was saying to you, how I first approached teaching my syllabus and my curriculum was through embedding those game categories in my scope and sequence. Here are some tactical problems and games concepts in relation to soccer. So the main principles of play are scoring, preventing scoring, and restarting play. And then we have the relevant off the ball and on the ball movements. And I think when I first started teaching, I really always focused on those on the ball skills rather than just looking at those off the ball movements. And if you think about it, in Invasion Games, we spend most of our time off the ball. There's only one ball, one player, yet in our PE programs, we spend all our time teaching on the ball skills. So for me, when I was trying to drive home TGfU to my faculty, that's a task that I did. You know, I got them to watch a game of soccer and record how much time was spent on the ball. John, am I going to go up for the next minute, or because I can stop here and I know that David and Heidi are going to cover these in their sports, or can I keep going?
Sure, we have about 2 or 3 more minutes if you want to keep going.
Mm-hmm. I just know I've got a presentation next too. So along with the model, Thorpe and Bunker proposed these pedagogical principles to help guide us in teaching these different sports and these different activities. And these 4 principles are sampling, representation, exaggeration, and the tactical complexity. So what they help us do is they provide us ways of modifying our PE program, modifying our games and our activities to make sure that they are representing the game that we're trying to teach or the tactical considerations within that game. And they're also developmentally appropriate for our students. So Sampling involves providing the opportunity to explore those similarities and differences among games. So if you look at, this is my PE scope and sequence, how I tried to sample different sports was to teach across game categories. So rather than having my netball, my basketball, and my golf, I then started trying to teach in games categories. Joy Butler also proposes a games education program, which is grouping, as you can see by the colours, like sports together. So you start teaching them within the same block. Representation involves developing condensed or modified games that still hold the same tactical structure of the advanced game forms. So if I look at Newcomb ball, for example, Newcomb ball is exactly like volleyball, yet they're allowed to catch rather than try and strike or hit the ball. They're allowed to catch. So I've got a few more activities up there online, and I also have some clips of how it's being taught to use that pedagogical principle. So I can leave that up there for you, and Tozzle has links to each of these too. So please feel free to explore those and to carry on doing the activities, and I can keep checking in. But we've got about 2 minutes left, 1 minute left. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to fire them through Tozzle, and I can answer them before I jump into the next presentation with David.
Yes, also, I just want to say that this model is a very effective and all-encompassing model, because, you know, I know that when I sometimes think about what we do in PE, you know, the skill development is very, very important. But, you know, with the students that we have, it's about, you know, the entire learning process. So skills, strategies, how to compete, and all that can be covered in the TGfU model. So I think that it's extremely important to, you know, consider this model. And
look, I think the message, you know, my research that I'm looking at now is helping teachers to introduce this model into their practice. And I guess from my point of view is it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. You know, it's still not embedded in our practice yet. It's been around since the 80s. So I guess we need to look at what we can do. And I don't think it answers all of our prayers. It's not the be all and end all of end all. It's a different way of teaching. You know, you'll see in the games education program and in my scope and sequence that I have the CPEP, or the sports education model as well. And, you know, there's different ways to go about achieving the same outcome. And for me, this is what I've had the most success with my students. It's something that I've been able to look at learning in a different way. And I've seen my students enjoying the lesson, their participation and their motivation has increased. But that didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen when I was first trying to do it. And it certainly didn't happen in my faculty straight away. And when I wasn't there, they reverted back. So I don't think it's an easy model to do, but I certainly think that there's some small steps that you can do to change to reflect that model. So thank you. I feel like I've rushed it a lot out there, and I was super nervous, but it was really.
Well, we couldn't tell, so it was great
discussion. And I'll go back through Tozzle and have a look too, because there was some awesome chat going on around there. So thank you. There's a really good activity that I learned with Joe Shepherd, and that with Chuck the Chicken, which I'll be interested if you want to comment on Tozzle, what game category that fits into. Joe, you're not allowed to reply.
Yes, and all of Kellyanne's resources can be found on the Tozzle. The Tozzle will be up for as long as you have the link. I'll post the link on Twitter. If you look at the screen right now, my Twitter handle is right on the bottom. I'll also post where you can find Kellyanne if you want to speak to her about any type of resources that she can give you. Also, coming up in the Phys Ed Summit, we have 3 more TGfU sessions. We also have a teaching dance for understanding.
Great.
A resource.
That's great.
Yeah.
And Heidi and David and Stephen will explore those pedagogical principles in Netwall and Invasion Games. So what I haven't done, they'll cover, I'm sure. So thank you, Jonathan, and thank you for listening to my drivel.
No, it was great. Thank you for letting me be a part of this, and thank you to everyone out there who participated in our session. We had some great conversation, and stick around because we have a lot more coming up with the Phys Ed Summit 4.0. So thank you everyone for joining us, and see you later.